rules change for the leadership campaign? Should the rules change to address foreign interference concerns, including citizenship?
It's been the privilege and honor of my life to have been appointed to the Minister of Public Safety. My focus right now is to work with partners in Canada and the United States, working with cabinet colleagues, to try and manage this most important of relationships with the incoming U.S. administration. The party, the Liberal Party of Canada executive, will obviously examine all of these questions. It will come to ground on what rules it will provide for leadership contenders, but my focus right now is on making sure that this most important of relationships
So what is your response?
is well managed.
Minister LeBlanc, why did you decide not to run? Minister LeBlanc, right here, this is the pool camera, Minister LeBlanc.
On devrait exiger la citoyenneté canadienne et la résidence pour voter dans
We're a Big Tent party. I think we have to have the rules in place to make sure that people that resident in Canada vote. We have a party constitution that's been thought about. My personal preference would be that Canadian citizens, but also permanent residents of Canada living in Canada, could vote for our leadership. I think it's a way of engaging people in party processes, but I think the executive will make that decision, and I trust the executive to make the right decision.
Would you like, just to clarify, do you intend to raise the issue about the leadership rules when you're in caucus today, and do you hope National Executive takes input from caucus when it comes to determining this?
Oh, absolutely. I think caucus are people who we live and eat and breathe the party, and I think that one of our roles is to provide advice. The board will make the decision. They're elected to make the decisions, but I think we want to talk to them about both the timelines and making sure that we have an expedited process, because we need a leader in place very early in March at the latest, so that leader can put his or her stamp on the throne speech, and making sure that we have a leader who is prepared to be the Prime Minister. And I also think we should talk about making sure there's no foreign interference and making sure we have the guidelines and practices in place to make sure that doesn't happen.
How much time do you think the party has to deal with all of these questions? Those are big questions. How much time do you think the party has to decide this?
I think they should decide by tomorrow night.
What I said is expedited process. So I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, that would be before March 24th. Would March 1st, for instance, what do you have in mind?
I think a goal is that we should have a leader chosen. I think Sunday maybe is March 2nd, and I would like to have a leader in place by March 2nd. That is, and I think we can do it. This is 2024. We have processes in place where we can have very quick membership sign up and very quick way of having people appear with each other on social media and on virtual performance, that kind of way of doing things. So I think we can do it. I think it'll be fast. I think people know who the candidates are. We've got a good stable of 4 or 5 candidates, and I think any one of them could do well.
You just said you think that people know who the candidates are going to be. You have your own idea. Are you watching more closely some potential candidates?
Sure. I've been Parliamentary Secretary to 4 ministers: Chrystia Freeland, François-Philippe Champagne, Marc Arnault, and Mélanie Joly. All 4 of them would make an excellent Prime Minister. I've been very close to all 4 of them, and so I would. Marc Arnault ran once. And I donated to his leadership campaign the last time. So any one of those 4 would make an excellent Prime Minister.
Which one is your favorite?
Which one am I? I'm just like my mother. My mother had 4 children, and she loved them all equally.
I know you're going to vote equally for all 3.
I will see who decides to run among those. I do have a preference for someone that I work closely with because I know them, and I'm a loyal person, and that's where my mind is going right now. But you never know. You never know. That's what leaderships are all about. It'll be kind of fun. But I'm hoping one of my ministers throws her or his hat in the ring.
You don't want to say who today? You don't want to say who today?
Oh no, I'm going to say I don't even know. Not all of them have declared. None of them has declared. So it will be kind of fun.
Is there any parties should be allowed to vote in the leadership election? Should be changed
What's that?
Do you think the rules on who should be allowed to vote in the leadership election, that it should be made only people who are citizens of Canada?
I agree with it only being open to citizens of Canada voting. It's no different than a provincial election. You have to be a resident to vote.
Look, obviously we're going to have members of the National Board. I believe our president will be in the today to have this discussion. I think given the foreign interference dynamic that we've seen in the country, and I think the Commission is expected in late January, I do think that there will have to be more scrutiny on who is eligible to vote in this. I think understandably right now the Constitution says someone who ordinarily resides in Canada. I think at the very least it has to be citizens of the country, could live with a permanent residency. Again, the question is going to be the verification thereof, but I think it's extremely important because we're not just electing a leader of the National Party, we're electing what would be the Prime Minister. So I think it's important that we have scrutiny.
And does the party executive have the power to make those changes?
I'm confident we're going to be the leadership process here would be different. And we also have the ability to put leaders in place.
How do you want to see a new leader?
I think obviously it's an important vision for the country. We're at a very delicate time right now, especially with what we're seeing from President Trump south of the border. I think there's going to be a focus on economic growth. There's going to be a focus on how we position the country moving forward. And we have a great opportunity to do that through this process.
What do you think of Dominic LeBlanc?
Minister's delay in making his decision has kind of handicapped the party's leadership process.
I'm not going to, Monday morning quarterback on the decision that the Prime Minister made in regards to timing. The decision has been made, and we obviously now have a very important process ahead of us that we have to make sure we throw our full energy and dedication into.
What is your position? I understand there's going to be a discussion in there, but do you think non-citizens should be choosing who the next Liberal leader and Prime Minister is?
Well, like I said, we have to have a conversation today in caucus in order to, I don't rush to conclusions. I come to decision making after thorough and thoughtful reflection. I don't think that I've personally had an opportunity to hear the various points of view yet from my colleagues from the national executive of the party. And until I've had an opportunity to hear those different points of view, inclusive of those that I represent, I'm not going to come to a conclusion. There are obviously varied considerations that we have to take into account as we're wrestling with that question, but I'm not one to draw conclusions until I've had an opportunity to.